200-2257. Your ancestors' favorite radio station. And your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominic DePrima. That's right. Well, you're not getting back to Dominic DePrima. You're getting back to James Farr. I'm sitting in for Dominic DePrima this week, KBLA Talk 1580 on First Things First. And we're bringing election coverage, candidates directly to you all week, this week, and beyond as ballots go out May 4th, just on Monday. And the election is on June the 2nd, first Tuesday in June. So it's time that we are all informed, get advised, getting those conversations. Now's the time to get in them. And our guest this morning, Billion Godson, who is a candidate for California Assembly District 55, hasn't just been talking about the issues in the community. He has now found himself endeavoring to make a difference in a different way. In terms of seeking the office to bring about the change that he's articulating his displeasure with the incumbent Assembly Member Isaac Bryan. Let's back up, because I will get to Sacramento and what that looks like first a little bit shortly, Billion. Let's talk to you about who you are first. What informs Billion to show up on May Day, May 1st, 2026? Who is Billion?
So I was originally born in Indianapolis, Indiana, as William Harrison Campbell IV. My mom, back in the 70s, got into computer programming, and she saw opportunity out here in California. Mm-hmm. We moved here in 1980 when I was 9. Originally, I lived up here off of Crenshaw and Washington, and I got kicked out of school in the 4th grade after a few months, went back to Indiana, came back here after a year. At that point, my mom was then in Inglewood, went through all Inglewood schools, graduated from Inglewood High School, went to UCLA my first year after high school, realized that was not for me. A year later, found myself going to jail for the first time after a uprising in Westwood. While I was in jail for a few days, I realized that's where my passion was, to fight for us, our people. Mm. And
what was that moment? I mean, certainly jail ain't the place to be, right? But what was it that kind of...
Rodney King had got beat that Sunday. That Friday, the movie New Jack City had come out. Okay. We all went to Westwood because back then they would show a lot of Black movies. So for whatever reason, they told about half of us we couldn't go in. Told us this was a Friday, told us to come back Monday to get a refund. Mm-hmm. And we like, nah, we just gave y'all the money. So one thing led to another. Police came trying to bully us. And one brother just snapped and said, y'all not about to do us like y'all did Rodney King. Somebody threw a trash can, police ran. First time I ever saw police run. And we just let loose. I was one of the 9 that got arrested. And like I said, that night I really thought about it. For much of the 90s, I primarily did my work through my music. Mm-hmm. And, I felt like a lot I would help raise up people's consciousness. And then the following year, of course, 92 happened, the 92 rebellion.
Yeah, 29th.
Right.
April 29th.
Just had an anniversary, right. And then come into the 2000s, I saw the police terrorism rise. I even myself was I got a Rodney King beat down in Venice Beach. Me and 2 of my cousin and nephew were out there. A racial incident happened. We had to fight multiple people. Police came. Knowing they would come for us, we split, ran different directions. They chased me down. I got a Rodney King beat down. But as they picked me up, I heard white people cheering. And it's like they had no idea what happened, but they just saw the police beat a Black man down and was excited about it. So that stuck with me. And once I came, actually when I was in jail, I woke up in a puddle of blood and vomit and vowed this would never happen in my presence again to anybody. So when I came out, I began finding where the police were terrorizing us and intervening when I saw they got too physical. And fortunately, over the years, others have joined in with me with that. More recently, we have formed our Africatown Coalition. We're now in our 10th year.
Mhm.
And again, we came out to not wait till we're killed and chase ambulances and hold vigils, but to prevent us from being killed. And
where we intersect is in that work around police,
right,
police violence,
right,
and many cases the murdering of community members, right?
Exactly.
And so, how has that kind of shaped you when you think about, because if your goal is to end up in Sacramento, that's where the laws are written.
Exactly.
And so how does that part of your experience shape you and inform you to go into Sacramento?
More so than a lot of the reform that we're seeing. In Inglewood right now, they're talking about police need cameras, body cameras, because for whatever reason, they're behind what a lot of the other police agencies are, is to really stay focused on the fact that these individuals who terrorize and harm us need to go to prison. We know qualified immunity is protecting them, but that needs to be challenged. Again, that platform is one to where we could really raise that issue up and challenge that, and push for more immediate policies to also challenge it. But yeah, we a lot of our officials are, like I said, just known as reforms. And even right now, like we're seeing with the Voting Rights Act, we know those things can get undone.
What are people telling you? Because I know you're in community, and you're very active with the unhoused community. You can be walking around Lamert and Bill. I remember one day, man, I just saw you walk around, and the first thing you said to me, it was early one morning. You said, "I'm going to go check on one of our unhoused community members." This was probably like 7. It was like early.
Right.
What are people telling you? What are you hearing on the ground?
As far as
just in terms of what the issues are with the district, perhaps their relationship with the incumbent.
I mean, people are going through it. People feel betrayed, not just by Isaac, but by most of our leadership, because like I said, we're being pushed out, whether people are being pushed out and ending up on the streets, or whether people are being pushed out the city, being pushed out the state. People who are here financially have been going through it. Most recently with the so-called war in Iran, and gas is shot up, and everything else is shot up. It's become even more affordable. But before that, people already being challenged. We've been significantly pushed out of the job market. A lot of folks who are now being flooded into our communities are coming with a very similar racial hatred that we were experiencing from white people back in the day. But this is all different races of people: Latinos, Asians, pretty much many of the non-Black folks who are now here amongst us. And we're seeing in the reports that are coming out yearly, whether it be the county report, city, state, whatever, that we are again #1 and the most targeted with hate crimes. However, we're not getting the policies. #2 and #3 are usually the Jewish community and the LGBT folks, and their issues get addressed. We just saw the state last year come with policies to protect the Jewish community, to fight anti-Semitism. And a lot of our Black officials supported that, but yet we don't have no anti-Black hate crime bills.
I don't disagree with you, and I'm curious to know why you think that is. I mean, and let's look at it from an equitable standpoint, right? I mean, one group shouldn't be put over the other, but we always think our community seems to be the last, right? Or not at all. Why do you think in 2026, our Black electeds, as you said, they don't show up for us after they get in office? They campaign with us,
right,
and to us,
right,
through us,
right.
And you're saying they're gone after that.
It's a playbook. I mean, it's clearly a playbook that, even our great brother, El Haj Malik El Shabazz, otherwise known as Malcolm X, told us way back in the 60s that we had become so aware of the con from the white man, they were now putting our own black misleadership in front of us. And we clearly see for 60 years now, it's been a playbook. They know if they step outside of that playbook, they will lose their seat. Like,
what do you mean playbook? Like, let's just pretend people don't understand when you say playbook. I don't want to be in the abstract of conspiracy or something like that. What do you mean? What does that mean in practice?
They can come with low-hanging policies that really don't change or get to the real issue of the matter. Like I was saying with police. Police got to stop. A few years ago was a young brother, Stanley Miller, got beat down with a flashlight. So they came with policies, you can no longer use your flashlight. That's not the real issue. With housing, we see billions of dollars are coming out to address housing, but yet housing has gotten worse. Like I was just saying, as far as
go back to that flashlight thing, because I think that's polarizing, and so they can't use their flashlight.
Right. That was for the LAPD.
For the LAPD, right? But so what would be you said that's not the problem. What is the problem? If it's not the flashlight, what's the problem?
The problem is police, sheriffs, all of the law enforcement know pretty much they can terrorize the black community and get away with it. They will not be held accountable. Even a few years ago, I think 2020, Marquise Harris Dawson put out a post addressing the matter, but pressure was put on him and he took the post down. So
you're speaking about Los Angeles City Council President Marquise
right.
Harris Dawson. Okay, just so the audience is tracking with. Okay,
but these are things we've seen consistently across the board, especially when we get to the issue of reparations. If they step outside of this playbook, whatever the playbook is, they will be held accountable. Whether it be the Democratic Party will turn against them, or like they feel a lot of their constituents will turn against them. They choose to instead sacrifice us and let our community be wiped out. You know, we're being erased. While they talk about all this happening with everybody else, Black Los Angeles has been decimated.
You know, I am in studio this morning with Billion Godson. He's a candidate for Los Angeles Assembly District 55, and you know, you touched on something, right? I don't know how legislatively it works, but I was just talking with someone. LA isn't, while there are more Black folks in LA than a lot of other places, it's not really a Black city.
Right. I
mean, you have to be real intentional,
right,
in order to, if you will, be in community. Right. There are many places that you can't go. We'll get into the Sacramento role, and I want to talk about the housing, the unhoused, and especially reparations. You touched on that earlier, and I know that that's been something that you have advocated for strongly over the years. So stay with us. Billion Godson's in the seat. He's a candidate for California Assembly District 55. James Farr, I am in for the Queen Dominique Dupree. We're having conversations with candidates